Hey everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge podcast. My name is Josh. Today we've got a really interesting video. There's a guy named Spencer Eldon. I'm going to tell you all about him in a few minutes, but it's a really interesting thing going on right now. And we're going to talk about why he matters to this conversation about family vlogging and informed consent from kids. It's a huge story. Before we get to that, we're going to do a little dancing, drink a little coffee. Someone's going to win some prizes.
Yeah, baby.
Vanessa K, please win something. Please. Just hands. Come on. Everybody's winning keychains. I'm taking one of these off. I'm removing all instances of keychains. Oh, I'm going to put one in. One keychain. I'm also removing nada because I don't want anybody winning nada. It's not happening. Sticker shirt, sticker, keychain, bracelet, all three. I like that better. Sorry you want a bracelet though. All right, let's go to the YouTuber. Coffee. I love McDonald's iced coffee. Love it. Twin Mama MG. Let's see what you win for thee. Stupid rhymes. Come on. Get out of here with this garbage. Sorry. Anyway, let's get to this video. I think it's going to be really interesting. Okay, so a lot of people have been sending me this link about this guy named Spencer Eldon, who is suing the estate of Nirvana, I guess Kurt Cobain's estate and Nirvana the band, because it still is a entity. I think it's for $2.5 million or something like that. There's an article, I'll read in a minute. But basically, he is the Nirvana baby, one of the most popular albums in my generation, which was Nevermind by Nirvana. I never, ever liked Nirvana, so you guys can judge me if you want. I never listened to Nirvana. I hated Nirvana. I was in a world of hip hop and R&B and Boys to Men and all this Tupac, and it was just like I hated Nirvana because I was like, this is sloppy ass music. Okay, I just felt like it was like they were trying to be bad just for the sake of being bad. But now that I'm getting older and I became a musician later in life, you really start to see who Nirvana was, and the actual genius of who Nirvana was later. And so I appreciate them later in life, but I hated them when I was young. So it really didn't affect me much. There were the odd, I guess, I get it, but it's genius now that you think about it. The guy was a genius. But all I'd say, this Spencer Eldon was a kid that was exploited. There is no other way of saying this, okay? There just isn't. Now, did he capitalize on the exploitation? Sure, but you know what? At the same time, there's a lot of people that are arguing and making comments and talking about how this guy's just making money because he wants to make money, because there's a lot of diehard Nirvana fans out there who think what this guy is doing is not very nice. What these people fail to realize is that Spencer Eldon was exploited as a child, okay? He was 4 months old when this album came out. Okay, and he didn't have a choice at all. And so obviously we're going to talk about that today, because this is an important conversation for informed consent. Now, a 4-month-old can't make consent on anything, okay? They are fully relying on their parents for everything. You have to clean their ass and everything, okay? So there is nuance, but at the same time, when it comes to this story, why it's so important is because this guy is now 30 years old and started realizing, like, hey, this is actually child pornography. My wiener is on the internet from the moment I was dropped into a pool when I was 4 months old for this record cover. Okay, I'm not sure how much money they made. There's not a ton out there on him. There's a couple videos that I've dug up on YouTube. This is an interview with Spencer, just like a minute long thing where he talks about the album cover.
What's it like, knowing all these people would have seen you naked?
Courtesy of johnchapel.com, just so you guys are aware, I got this on the YouTube channel.
What is it like having
the idea that a lot of people have seen my baby penis when I was a baby. Well, I'm not really a baby anymore, so it's I have to like think it's not me or something. But it's a trip. There's a lot of people that have seen my baby penis as a baby. I went to a baseball game on opening day at the Dodgers, and I was looking out at all the people, and I was like, had a moment where I was like, man, all these people have seen my baby penis when I was a baby. So it's pretty crazy. It'd be nice to have a quarter for every person that has seen my baby penis, but you know, there's all kinds of puns you could throw on that. But you know, it's my little baby penis. I'm sure if you were to cut them all out and stack them all up in a room, you have a room full of little cutouts of baby penises.
What?
And that's kind of crazy.
Wow.
I'm Spencer Eldon. That's my baby penis. I'm on the cover of the Nirvana album.
Never seen that. That's pretty funny. We're going to have to do a little bit more of a deep dive into who Spencer Eldon is. There's another one that came up here quickly. Just want to go through it.
From this to this. 25 years on, and it's still an unforgettable image. So when photographer John Chappell...
I got to point out, too, he's got a Nevermind tattoo right here. So there is, again, the nuance I'm talking about when it comes to this type of story. The nuance is that he capitalized on it a little bit. And I won't say that he didn't. And I also will say this, though. Life gave him certain lemons, and he made lemonade. And so I'm not going to blame him for that. At all. And any adult who is exploited as a child who hates that they were and wants to go forward as an adult and make money off that, I won't hate them either. That's your choice. If you got to make what you got with what life gave you, and if you want to capitalize on it, you were owed that at least. I agree. This guy's owed the money. He's an iconic figure, but I don't think he's doing this for money. Maybe he is, but at the same time, okay, even if he is doing it for money, give him the damn money. He's an iconic figure, and he starts to, as he gets older, he starts realizing, hey, shit, this stuff's not appropriate. My shit's out there for the entire world to see. Everybody can see it. So I just wanted to point that out.
From Barnstable thought of recreating the artwork 25 years on in the same pool with the same Nirvana baby. His model Spencer Eldon didn't need much convincing. John now lives in California, and it was there that they recreated the image to celebrate the classic album's anniversary.
So I was like, oh my goodness, it's like so iconic. Like, you know, like I didn't really do anything, but I'm a part of it. I have a lot to do with it, but not a lot to do with it. So it's like and it's a good image, so it's a funny recipe.
And that's a recipe that still seems to work a quarter of a century later.
So here's on a Time magazine article. Let's read a little bit of this for you guys. It says Spencer Eldon was just a few months old when his parents got a call from underwater photographer Kirk Waddell, who asked if he could use their newborn baby as part of a photo shoot for an up-and-coming band called Nirvana. At the time, Eldon's father helped with sets, custom rigging, and props for photo shoots, which is how we got to know Waddell. Initially, Waddell tried to photograph babies at a swimming class, but none of those images fit what Geffen Records was looking for, so they wound up choosing one of the stills that Waddell took of Eldon. Later on, a fish hook with a dollar bill was eventually added to make it look like the baby was swimming towards it. Eldon's parents were reportedly paid $200. The shoot lasted 15 seconds. Wow. Last year, Waddell told Time, it was a great concept, a baby underwater, unable to breathe, going after money on a fish hook, by a band that's signed by Geffen Records. After Nevermind was a big hit, they came back to me to shoot the band underwater. After the album's surprisingly successful release, the image will go down in music history as one of the most recognizable album covers of all time. Agreed. Along with Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon and the Beatles' Abbey Road. Looking back, it feels kind of stupid doing interviews about it because I had nothing to do with it. But I had a lot to do with it at the same time, says Eldon. It's really a weird feeling being part of someone else's momentum, being caught up in this wake of stuff. Today, Eldon lives in Los Angeles with his mother and focuses on making art. There's a link to his art. Let's take a look. Focusing on making art and growing tomatoes. Rockosaurus Rex, looking for a husband. Over the past few years, his interest in art has developed after he interned for street artist Shepard Fairey, who has acted as a mentor. But Eldon is still trying to figure out how he feels about Nevermind. It's a trip. Everyone involved in the album has tons and tons of money. I feel like I'm the last little bit of grunge rock, Eldon says. I'm living in my mom's house and driving a Honda Civic. That is grunge. Absolutely. Eldon has never met the two surviving members of Nirvana, Dave Grohl and Chris Novoselic. He says that previous attempts to contact either musician weren't successful. 2013, TMZ asked Dave Grohl if he ever met the baby from Nevermind, and Grohl acknowledged that he hasn't. I've never met him. We weren't there that day he did the photo shoot, so I don't know. I've seen him in magazines and stuff. Come on, Dave Grohl. I love Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl should step into this too. Even though Eldon has recreated the photo shoot a number of times and has a large tattoo that says Nevermind in his chest, he says he hasn't fully come to terms with being the album's cover. I got a little upset for a bit, he says. I was trying to reach out to those people. I never met anybody. I didn't get a call or email. I just woke up already being a part of this huge project. It's pretty difficult. You feel like you're famous for nothing, but you didn't really do anything but their album. Frustrated about never receiving any sort of compensation for Nevermind, Eldon recently took into pursuing legal actions against Geffen Records, but was unsuccessful. It's hard not to get upset when you hear how much money was involved, he says. Hey, I agree. He's a part of that piece of history, and I completely agree. And he was exploited for that part of history. Nirvana, Dave Grohl, and I love Dave Grohl. I never have a bad thing to say about Dave Grohl. And these bands don't even really have a say in their album art and all that shit anyway. But unfortunately, they are part of this exploitation. They all took advantage of this exploitation and made huge money off this exploitation of this kid who could not consent. So unfortunately, they are, and they should just make it right. Like, what's $2 million to Dave Grohl or to anybody or to Nirvana? Like, how much does Nirvana's estate? So basically, CNBC is reporting that inside Kurt Cobain's $450 million empire. I'm not entirely sure how much the Cobain empire still makes, but they all still make money. Nirvana, a band like Nirvana, still makes millions of dollars a year. Okay, they still get all the licensing, they still get all the residuals, they still make millions. Okay, Mariah Carey is the same kind of era. Every Christmas, they write her check for $25 million probably. Okay, I'm just saying the residuals from music from the 90s and 80s and shit like that. These artists are still. If you had a major record in the early 90s, late 90s, you still today can live comfortably, very comfortably. That's how many albums were sold. That's how much the music gets used in movies and everything else. It still gets used. They could easily pay this guy who was taken advantage of as a child, shut him up, even if just shut him up and just say, thanks, here's $2.5 million, see you later. So I get it, and I love Dave Grohl, and I love the music industry. I love these guys, and I think they're incredible, and Dave Grohl is one of the most loved, and for good reason, musicians in the world. He's such a good guy. But again, you can't separate the fact that they made money off of a kid who was exploited without his consent. That's all I'm going to say there. So it sold 30 million copies worldwide. And this is in an era that's triple platinum, by the way, when the albums were like $20 a piece. Okay? And people would buy multiples. $30 million or 30 million times 20 or 30 plus all the residuals plus all the licensing. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay? Just insane. The music industry is such an interesting world. When I go to a baseball game and think about it, man, everybody's baseball game has seen my penis. I feel like I got part of my human rights revoked, says Eldon. And this article was written in 2016. So this isn't this guy saying this now to get money. He was saying this in 2016. He said, I felt like I got a part of my human rights revoked. 2016, he was saying this. Okay, it's 5 years ago. He's 25. And that says a lot. He has been struggling with this his whole life, even though he's capitalized on it. He got the tattoo. It's part of who he is. But at the same time, he has had part of his human rights revoked. He did not get the opportunity to say, I do not want my penis on an album cover that is one of the most iconic album covers of all time. Though he's occasionally bitter about the whole role he played in Nevermind, Eldon admits, I think it's also me being carried away with it and thinking about it too much. He likes the album artwork itself, describing the concept as genius, but draws a line at merchandising, including puzzles and mugs. That's another thing. His image is on millions upon millions upon millions of record covers, CD covers, tape covers, t-shirts, lunchboxes probably. There's so much merchandising that went into this. Just the t-shirts alone. He has not made any residuals from that. And he is owed. I think it's $2.5 million or $25 million. I would say give this kid $25 million. No problem. Kurt Cobain's estate is worth $450 million. Give him $25 million. What's gonna happen? Give this kid what he's owed, because he was, and just on this basis alone, that he was exploited without his consent as a child. This story is really important to this fight. I tried to find Spencer Eldon. It doesn't have social media. I couldn't find him. Maybe I would love to interview him because his story is one of the most important stories. Same with Alison Stoner and a bunch of all these other actors who grew up in Hollywood and who grew up in the spotlight, who are rethinking and hating their life. If you ask Macaulay Culkin, who was my childhood, I wanted to be Macaulay Culkin's friend, his best friend. I always thought to myself, I would be Macaulay Culkin's best friend. We would hang out forever. I loved Macaulay Culkin because we were the same age. He was in all the movies, and I was like, yeah. But I bet you if you ask Macaulay Culkin if he could go back and change his life, would he do it? I bet you'd say yeah. I bet you any of the kids who grew up in Hollywood, and it's rare you're going to find a kid who grew up in Hollywood that loves what they did and live a normal life now. Very, very rare. There are a few. The girl from Mrs. Doubtfire, the young, cute one who was in Matilda, I think she got out of Hollywood and lives a normal life. Some of them can, but it takes, I don't know. That's really difficult. But again, this conversation is important because we talk about informed consent a lot on this channel, specifically when it comes to kids on YouTube. Now, take some of the most famous kids on YouTube. Ryan's Toy Review, which is probably the biggest. I think Ryan's Toy Review is worth $400 million now or something like that, and just in merchandising, franchising, in like all the things he puts his name on. His parents make that money. The kid's not even 8. I don't even know how old he is. But you take Everly LeBrant, one of the biggest family vloggers and the star of that show. Everly LeBrant is a kid who, when she turns 20, 30, maybe she's gonna come back and say, I cannot believe you put that shit on the internet, Mom and Dad. I can't believe it. Not Dad, because not her dad. And even look at the Weiss Life. You guys know I hate the Weiss Life with all my heart. Like, they're the worst. But think about this for a second. When that 12-year-old girl who had her breasts sized on YouTube to go bra shopping, okay, do you think when she turns 30, she's going to be cool with that? The way that kids are shaping these days and becoming more autonomous, becoming so much more aware and they're smarter than they've ever been because they have all the world's information on a damn phone, and yet they use it to look up memes about Joe Biden. Okay, but again, our kids are going to have access to everything instantly, and so they're so much more smart than they used to be. When all of these family vlogger kids who have had things like, and I'm going to focus on just the things that are really, really gross: acne, shaving your legs, periods, breasts, and puberty, and all these things that nobody needs to see, like fathering autism, using the bathroom, and freakouts and tantrums and all this stuff. Again, when these people are older, when these kids become older as adults, like this guy. And he didn't even have that much put out. No one knows a lot about this guy except they have seen his penis, which is a big deal to him. Okay. He even says it in 2016. I feel like I had part of my human rights revoked. Okay. These family vloggers these family vloggers do show some of their kids naked. Okay. Maybe not their private parts here, but some of the girls are topless at the beach on Instagram. Some of them are changing their diaper. You can see everything, or they're birthed from their mother's vaginas on camera. Okay, this is like innocent because it's a baby, but at the same time, not even close to as bad as these family vloggers and the information that they put out about their children on the internet. Okay, so the reason why Spencer Eldon's story is so important, and I hope he wins every last penny of this lawsuit, okay? I hope he does. It's so important because this is what's going to happen in 10 years, in 15 years. When these kids grow up and age out, okay, either they're going to do their own vlogs because that's all they've ever known, and I'm pretty sure that's what Jess Fam is grooming and breeding her kids to be, okay? I got to stop at Jess Fam for a second. Someone had pointed this out the other day, and it's really, really, really important. And I'm going to do a video on this in a second, and probably this week, is that Jess Fam's Lilia is the youngest. And Jess Fam has a podcast with Lilia's dad, which is one of her ex's baby daddies, right? And they're all like, oh, we family together. And no one ever takes into consideration Lilia. Sorry, I think I got her name wrong. That Lilia, not only does she have to vlog at home, but when she goes to her dad's house for the weekend, they vlog with her too. This girl doesn't get a break, and she's the star. Jess is the star of her world. But Lilia is another reason a lot of people go, okay? We cannot forget that. Things like that. So the reason why Spencer's story, again, is so important is because he was thinking his whole life, shit, man, I never got anything from this, okay? Except for a little fame, which maybe got him a little bit of helped him a little bit, but he's still, again, this guy's a 30-year-old dude living in his mom's basement growing tomatoes. He has not enjoyed the fruits of his fame at all. Right? At the same time, he doesn't have it as bad as half of these family vlogger kids who have more of their information on the internet than anybody should ever have out there. and Instagram was when you're born and all the shit. All these influencers. I'm going to do a whole series on influencers who have Instagrams for their babies and shame the shit out of them. I'm going to make fun of them a lot because it's all we have. That's the tool that I have here. I'm going to do it. If you're gonna put your kid on the internet from birth because you're an Instagram influencer, I'm going to make fun of you, and I'm excited about it. And you deserve to be shamed for that. Okay, your kids do not have consent you do not have your children's consent to put them out there the way that you do, family vloggers. None of you do. And we had talked about Asa this week, how he's like, we got her, we make her consent. You can't do that. I mean, you legally can, but morally you can't. And in the end, I hope every single one of these family vlogger kids follows in Spencer Eldon's path and sues the ever-living shit out of their parents. Love Meg did a video once where she said, I'm not going to pay my kids. They're going to make their own way. Yeah, Love Meg, I got something for you. Your kids will be able to sue the living shit out of you if you don't give them the money that they're owed. Love Meg is one of those prime examples of why we need Coogan type protections for kids on YouTube, because she admits it out loud that she's not going to pay her kids. There are no protections. Jess Femme says she pays her kids, but again, what if Jess Femme's shit falls apart? She's going to take that money because they're going to need it. There are no protections. Coogan Law makes it so you put I'm going to do a whole video on Coogan Law. Makes it so all the money that your children make goes into an account for them, protected for them until they're 18. Nobody else can touch it. Okay, nobody can touch it legally. Now, there are no protections for these types of kids on the internet whatsoever. The laws are 20 years behind now for protecting children in this entertainment industry. 20 years. Okay? So we are going to do a whole video on Coogan and see how we can maybe figure out this. This is why this matters. And I cannot, it's almost like cannot wait for these family vloggers and their kids to come out with books and to sue the shit out of their parents. Love Meg, pay your effing kids, you douchebag. We're going to do a Love Meg video too. Okay, I'm going to read this NPR article. It's pretty cool. Man photographed his baby on Nevermind cover sues Nirvana for sexual exploitation. Yes! This is the story we've been waiting for. This is a really important story. The cover for Nevermind, a Nirvana album, says to have helped redefine rock music. Features a naked 4-month-old baby in a pool, appearing to swim after a dollar bill that's pierced with a fishhook. That baby, now 30-year-old Spencer Eldon, is suing Nirvana for child exploitation and pornography, saying the band knowingly distributed a naked photo of Eldon as a baby and profited from it. Yep. He's asking for he's asking for $150,000 in damages from each of the defendants, which include members of the band Kurt Cobain, Kirk Weddle, Universal Music, Geffen Records, Warner Records, and MCA Music. I thought he was suing for more. He should sue for way more. This is true. And this is, if you think about this, you could never get away with this record album today. Never. Never, ever, ever. Also, all the family vloggers out there and mommy-fluencers out there posting naked pictures of their kids, stop it. Because look, this was in the 90s, and he's 30 now, and he's like, why did you put that out there? Why did you do it? If this doesn't wake you all up, the amount of nudity of children on Instagram that you can't even report because Instagram doesn't give a shit is mind-blowing. There are so many predators looking at your kids, everybody, and you just give it to them. There are so many breastfeeding photos. It's almost as if in order to become a mommy vlogger influencer, you literally have to put 100 breastfeeding. There's a girl that follows Jess Femme that's like, Jess Femme's like, wants to be Jess Femme. Her name is Sunkiss Mama. I have seen Sunkiss Mama's Instagram, and there are so many photos of her breastfeeding her children. It's like, we get it. You breastfeed. Do you have to do it you have to photo it every day? How tiring is that? And when her kids get older, I hope to God they sue the living shit out of her. Let's not forget, everybody. Yes, breastfeeding is natural and it's great and it's beautiful. Okay? But let's not forget that there is a child in that image with their mouths on your boob. And if you don't want it to be sexualized, that's okay, fine, we get it, but it is. The problem is that there are people who are sick in the head, who have kinks, okay, and they can't even help it sometimes, who love that shit, and you feed it to them because it makes you money. It's not, if these photos didn't make these women money, they wouldn't put them out there. They don't care. They know it makes them money. Look at Tiffany, I know I'm going on a rant, Tiny Tiffany Beaston, okay? There is more pictures of her feet on the internet than I care to admit, and but there are people who like her feet, who watch for those feet, probably comment in the back end that we'll never see. Love the feet. She probably sells her bath water for all we know as an essential oil. And they would, because they'd make money on it. Would I sell my bath water for money? Yes. If you gotta pay me money for my bathwater, you're gross. But of course, you can have it. Okay, so he's asking $150,000 in damages from each. The cover was shot by Weddle, who was a friend of Eldon's father. The lawsuit accuses Weddle of producing a sexually graphic photo of Eldon and adds that there is initially pushback featuring Eldon's genitals in the cover, and the plan was to place a sticker over it. So there was pushback from the beginning. So again, even in 2016, you've got this guy saying that he felt like his human rights. So it's not something he just did all of a sudden for money now, okay? But he's in the right. Eldon's parents also never signed a release authorizing use of the image, and Eldon himself never received any compensation. That's why he's going to win right here. There's no release. He didn't sign a release, and they just made millions. Again, why are these people just give the kid what he wants? It's not even that much money to these record labels. That is peanuts. Just give him the money. They can end up being, if he's, I think it's, again, I thought it was about $2.5 million. Just give him the money. Dave Grohl could give this guy $2.5 million, and it's like he could find it in his couch. I'm not saying he should. I love Dave Grohl, and I mean, Dave Grohl did, again, Dave Grohl is not who he is without being the drummer of Nirvana, okay? He isn't. And so Dave Grohl's entire career is based around Nirvana too, and Dave Grohl's amazing. Again, I want to make sure you guys understand that I love Foo Fighters, okay? And I love Dave Grohl. I'm just saying that you can't ignore this part, and I think Dave Grohl's a smart enough guy to realize, yeah, they're right. And Dave Grohl would probably make it right. I get it. These guys have to go through all the processes. I hope he does. Dave Grohl will make it right. I know he will. So they didn't sign the release. Spencer's trade entity and legal name are forever tied to the commercial sexual exploitation and he's experienced as a minor. Robert Lewis, Eldon's attorney, writes in the lawsuit. Lewis writes that Eldon has experienced emotional distress and interference with emotional and educational development. In a 2008 interview with NPR, Eldon, then high school, was still struggling to make sense of his public image. Quite a few people in the world have seen my penis, he said, so that's kind of cool. I'm just a normal kid, living it up, doing best I can while I'm here as a teenager. So this is an important story. I know it kind of went on a little bit of a rant there. We talk about this case because I want to make sure that we are aware, and you guys are aware, and fans of family vloggers are aware. In general, where kids are being exploited for money in the end, you need to be aware that you're a part of that. When you bought this record, you weren't aware at the time that you were taking advantage of and exploiting a child with their penis. It probably didn't cross anybody's mind. Okay, and so I'm not going to blame anybody for that. But at the same time, there is a person at the center of this, and regardless of whether or not you think he's in it for money or money grabbing, it doesn't matter if he is. He's owed it. That's the point. He is the iconic figure on that album cover. He is owed this. If you don't think he is, then you're a douchebag. He absolutely is owed it. The legal ramifications that he didn't sign a release. His parents didn't sign a release. They initially said, I don't want to get his penis on the thing. They're, put a sticker, and then they never did. Okay? The 90s was a friggin' Wild West of like, who gives a shit, right? Now we're in the Wild West of YouTube world and influencer culture where kids don't get any rights whatsoever. We have talked about this time and time again at length, exhaustively, and we still aren't getting through to some of these people. But we are getting through to some, which is great. As soon as a parent actually wakes up to the fact that their kids are being exploited, and they say, oh my God, I'm exploiting my kids. Some of them honestly don't even know. They don't even realize it. But when they do, when they finally do come to the realization that they are doing it, the good ones, okay, the ones that are actually who love their children, they change. It's so bleeding evident. Good parents from bad parents in this world of social media. Those who realize, oh my God, I can't believe this. I'm taking this down. They have and they innocently thought that it was cool. Oh yeah, no problem. It was fine, right? And then they change their mind because that's what normal people do. They learn and they're like, oh, this is bad. I had a family vlog. I did 2 episodes of a family vlog. One with Tyson because he wanted a perm, and I was like, oh, I'll try this. And then I realized after 2 episodes, this is like, I can't believe people do this. And I changed like that. Okay, I was like, this is dumb. So when parents, those good parents who figure it out, take their kids off, that's a really good thing. Tara Henderson and Brittany and Baby, I think they're called. Both of them said they were taking their kids off, but and I honored them, and I'm like, oh, you guys are amazing. But now they're sort of not doing that anymore. This is where this gets really eye-opening. We're going to start covering that too, because it's where the money matters more than anything else. Parents need to realize that money does not matter more than your children. You would be so much better off living in a median income, living life normally, not rich, and having and your kids love you and having a good relationship with the kids, than being rich and have your kids hate you and sue you later on. Okay? It's so much better to give your kids privacy and let them live normal childhoods. Most of these kids that we cover on this channel do not get normal childhoods, specifically Lilia. It's a good example of that. Where she's vlogging with her mom, then she goes over to her dad's house and vlogs with the dad. It's a perfect example that these kids don't have normal lives. And it's so scary. And again, look at Lily. We got to look at Ketchman. You got to look at Piper Raquel, Danielle Cohn. These are the hyper-sexualized versions of those other girls, right? And they're treated even differently. Danielle Cohn shit is falling apart. That mom is going to end up in jail, and those boys that have sex with her are going to end up in prison. I hope, and they should. I don't care how rich you are. You need to go to jail if you've done something wrong. Absolutely. And so this is a scary world. And thank God for someone like Spencer Eldon, who has the balls to stand up and say, what you guys did to me was wrong. You didn't have my consent. And consent is everything these days, everybody. It's everything. So when a kid gets older and these lawsuits start happening, they're not going to have any legal recourse to say, no, you're all good, because you didn't have their consent. And you never, ever had it. And so now they're saying, you didn't have my consent. And they're like, oh, well, but your mom. Doesn't matter. You didn't have my consent. That's where we're going, and that's where we should go. Kids need rights. They need autonomy, and they need a place to, specifically in the new world of the internet, your kids need their privacy. Now, there are lots of people out there whose kids come in and out and blah, blah, blah. I don't have a problem with posting a picture of your kid on their birthday or they're playing sports. There's no issue with just the odd photo of your family because you're proud of your family. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people get me confused, like, when you have a picture of your family, I don't exploit them for money. I draw the line when it's like your kids are your content. And if you don't if your kids are part of your content, and they need to be part of your content, then if you are reliant on your children to bring you money because they are part of your content, you're doing it wrong. Okay? If your kids pop into the image of the frame, then I think that's what Brittany Morrow has said. She said, hey, you know what? They're going to pop in here and there. I honestly have no problem with that. I really don't. But when they are the center of the vlog, hey, we're getting close, my kids are doing back to school. When your kids are the topic of the video, that is exploitation. Okay, so we have to clarify that a little bit. We generally have to, because there's a bunch of assholes out there who are like, oh, I saw a picture of your kid from 30 years ago. Like, there's always people. Again, I have to draw, like, if you take your children off of your vlog, will your vlog survive? Okay. Also, if you sell MLMs and oils and shit, I hate you. Or if you lie to your fans, that kind of stuff too. That really pisses me off. Anyway, guys, this has been a really interesting video. I'm going to be following this case very closely. I hope, Spencer, you win that and more. I think you're owed way more than that, to be honest with you. I feel like you were exploited without your consent, and it is child pornography. Absolutely is. And I think that this could be a landmark case for a lot of things. To have Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all these places to stop allowing child pornography. Stop allowing child nudity on these platforms. And they allow it. They absolutely allow it. I don't care if you have a daughter or a son who's young, if you're a family vlogger and they're running on the beach without their clothes on, don't put it on the internet. Just don't. Let them run naked on the beach, fine. But don't put it on the internet. It doesn't belong there. There are too many predators out there. You would agree with me. And they don't care. Jeez. Anyway, really interesting story. Let's keep following it. Take a deep breath. Those are the best parts of the day, right? Everybody follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe here, all the places. Hit the little bell. I would really appreciate it. Make sure you understand your value, your worth. Protect yourself, protect the kids around you, and you are amazing. And I will see you tomorrow.